A lot of new artists crave a substantial payday up front, but they kind of miss the process of releasing 3 independent albums to pierce public consciousness. Now, you all have heard this on the channel before, but I need to give this with a few more examples and break it down a little bit more. All right? It's not about actually rushing to the bag, more so than seasoning your way to the bag, or being seasoned up to the bag, if you will. You have to get to a point called public consciousness for all of this to make sense. So it's not going to be a rush type of thing or jam it all in there with a bunch of singles every week. It's a methodical movement through the process to actually get to the point where people actually care about you, ultimately having buzz. And we got to talk about that coming up right here on the Music Money Makeover show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Music Money Makeover show. My name is Casey Graham. Now, I know you want a quick win. I understand this. You will get your quick win. But as I said in the intro, it is a very methodical move and a dance that you must do with the public in order to gain their confidence and gain their eyes, ears, and attention. Okay? We're going to get to a point where what I call public consciousness and what is known as public consciousness. And you must understand that there are steps that must be taken other than bashing people over the head with a bunch of singles. It is actually going to take work to actually work your record and promote your record. And you can see and read between the lines from what I'm going to show you in today's video. Check it out. All right, Music Money Makers. So our main goal here is to break public consciousness. And I'm going to use an example. Your main objective throughout this journey is to break into the public consciousness. My examples here will be Money Long, Kendrick Lamar again, and then Nicki Minaj, and you'll kind of see how this plays out. So check it out. You all may remember a few months back, I did a video about exiting the game, 3 ways to enter, master, and exit the game, something like that. And I used this explanation of that. What I'm trying to get to is not these albums over here, but these right here. This is ultimately where every independent artist who comes into the game has some type of representation of the 3, whether it be 3 singles, 3 massive singles, which is highly rare, or a combination of singles and releases. Whatever it is, it's going to be a step of 3 or 3 independent projects, as I like to call them. When you work an independent project and you have a project, you have a lot more time to break it apart rather than just dropping a bunch of singles and hoping for the best. All right? I'm not saying that the single ship has left the port, but what I am saying is that you have a more concentrated rate of success, or concentrated margin of success, if you utilize the album structure to do this, to break the line of public consciousness. So you see, it normally takes 3, but check this out. Money Long, the same thing. Now, I remember her as Priscilla Renee, but Money Long drops 3 projects. Boom. This is when Hours and Hours comes out. But these 2 were back here. This was the first. This was the second. And this was the third. And of course, you know, she's out here. She's done more than this. I just use those 2 because those are the 2 I remember. But anyway, 3. Here's the power of 3 again. Voila. What about Nicki Minaj? Here's the power of 3 again. Now, I know between the DJ Holiday project and this one right here, Sucker Free, she had the Young Money album where she was on some singles, and she was on some other singles in between this time and this. But I didn't really learn about Nicki Minaj until this one. This one kind of, it got boosted up, but with those singles in between these 2 projects. But yet again, these were 3 independent projects before the albums came out. It's the power of 3, and it always breaks the line of consciousness. And this is usually when people begin to know about you, right here. Boom. I found out about Kendrick Lamar right here, and I found out about Money Long right here with Hours and Hours, even though I knew about her as Priscilla Renee, but I didn't know about Money Long, the rebranding. And then here, I found out about Nicki Minaj right here on the line of consciousness. So you could say I was late here, and I was late here, but I was early on Kendrick. You know what I mean? So that's how it goes. Now, propagating content into the system. Now, this is what we got to talk about. I said we had to break it down. Releasing content through distributors is key to getting digital service providers to recognize your music, artwork, song metadata, bio, lyrics, and more. Once your content begins circulating, you can claim all your profiles. Furthermore, these projects build a catalog for collection agencies and provide a body of work for listeners, establishing a track record and authenticity in the market. So if we go back, you see, we need time. Even though this was done on in the mixtape era, right? We needed time for her to be propagated in the market, so on the internet at the time. And with Money Long, it's more so throughout the DSPs, because that's how these were released. It was released outside of that blog era. Kendrick was part of the blog era. It was on the tail end of it. So that was like propagating the stuff in the system through the internet. And this was through the DSPs right here that you see. So we have to do all of that. We need as much data as possible about us out on the first project. As much data as possible out through the internet on the first freaking project, because that's going to set the foundation for the rest of them to come. Okay? Now, check it out. We need to build a presence in the regional and national markets, because it doesn't make sense when you go national. Now, you can go national all you want to, right? But the one thing I learned about Money Long before I knew that she was actually Priscilla Renee was that, oh, she's from Florida, because she did some mean post about how the DJs in Florida like do stuff and they remix the lyrics or whatever. And I was like, oh, I got it. She's from Florida. So I don't know what part of South Florida she's from, but she's from there. All right. So if you haven't firmly rooted yourself in a local or regional market, capturing a worldwide audience will be challenging. A robust local market lends credibility. The regional market rallies behind you, and the national market purchases from you. So if you're a digital artist with a presence spread thin from the outset, then you're facing a daunting journey unless you have a highly detailed action plan to make an immediate and significant impact. So this, because people relate to you from where you from. Oh, he from my hood, and they feel like they know you already, so they're gonna ride for you. In like fandom, you know what I mean? Not in for real, right? So it's gonna be like for play, but they gonna boost you up like, no, man, you from the hood, and you not really from the hood, you just from that local area. So that's how that works. Now, building relationships with media, touring, banking, and label connects. Establishing a narrative through media before hiring a PR agent can eliminate the struggle of getting them to understand your origins and intentions. You'll also need a booking agent for planning tours and scheduling spot dates to enhance your publicity. Okay. Now, as your projects pile up, relationships with financial professionals and label personnel become essential for financial services, feature access, a la carte deal options, and general relationship building. Okay. So that's by the time you reach this second project, the Sucker Free, the Nobody Knows, the Overly Dedicated, right? By the time you reach that, it's starting to circle, it's starting to build up, the connects are starting to rebuild. And of course, Money already had her connects, but things are starting to build up on that second project really hefty for you. Now, what do these three projects give you? Well, the first project grants knowledge, providing an elementary understanding of the industry and the confidence to navigate within it. The second one imparts wisdom, fostering partnerships, financial growth, and sprouting public relationships, leading you to your third project. And the third one bestows understanding about your financial goals, team's needs, all right, and the large-scale image you want to project, and the understanding of who you need to drop from your team and all the people that you need to get out from around you. Hopefully you do this by the third project, okay? Because if you don't, you're probably going to end up having a hard time getting rid of them, or you're going to have to carry them over, and they're going to have to really grow with you when you actually have now reached the public consciousness stage, okay? So here's the phantom break. Notice I selected the second one. The phantom break occurs during the second project when you're on the verge of crossing the line of public consciousness. It feels like you've made it because the regional market is ablaze with your work, and you have your early adopters screaming your high praises at that point. At that point, you might feel like, yo, we got some show money now. I'm getting like, $4,000-5,000 a show, baby. It's popping. I'm making more money than I ever made. But you got a long way to go, so you can make more money. But this is the phantom break, so don't get gassed over these projects because you got one more to go, okay? So can I just drop singles and skip the projects? Certainly, but you'll likely end up releasing the same number of songs as a full project, and your audience may crave a more varied presentation after a handful of singles. And this is true. And to be honest with you, I don't really care about hearing single after single. After a while, if I like you, I'm going to want to put on a project and let it play, because the project gets to tell me all about, all of the sounds that you want to choose, how you want to tell a story through music. Can I really relate to you? Can I put on the album and ride in the car? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to hear a project at some point. I don't want to keep hearing singles and have to keep up with each single release. You get what I'm saying? So what happens if I break on 2 projects? Congratulations, but your third project will solidify your industry standing. Breaking only ignites buzz and not a lasting career. breaking public consciousness. At this point, let me go back. You got the superior buzz now. You're primed and ready for whatever the next release is going to be. And this one was kind of when she broke the consciousness. You know, you had Hours and Hours, and then PDA came out, Public Displays of Affection, and that served as kind of like the first album, if you will. So yeah. And then this one right here, this is when he broke public consciousness. I really feel like he did it between this one and this one. He broke it right here. Boom. And then we all know Good Kid, Mad City. So yeah. All right. Now, if you do break on 2 projects, that third project that you release from the label will ultimately, the general public will solidify the third project as the first breakout album, right? And that's going to happen anyway, but they're not going to count, okay, that second project was that one. It's really going to be that third release that you're going to do with the label, or if you've gotten up the partners and the money to release a third project, it's going to be that one with the hottest single, and that's going to be the one that the public says, oh, that was when he first dropped the first album, when it's truly not. You had other projects before that. Now, what if nothing happens by the time I release my third project? There's a good chance you'll remain independent for a while, potentially finding success there. Alternatively, your offerings may not have been unique enough to cut through the industry noise, or you just didn't take enough time to, marinate your songs and your work, and you're just too early, or it's just not enough, or you're really in a niche down market, okay? So you're probably going to remain independent for a while. By the time you get to that fourth project and it really hasn't popped off for you, chances are there's something wrong in the publicity and in the promotion department, and you don't really have, and you can tell that this person might not have the team there to actually make it happen. So there's not enough muscle, and then that will put you in an independent, standpoint. All right. Now let's get to work. Begin planning your first release or set of singles to start the process. Draft a timeline that will lead you to your ideal breaking point, and adhere to the goal formula: X by Y for A because of Z. All right. I'm going to do this by this for this because of Z. You get what I'm saying? X by Y for A because of Z. Going through all of this, you're going to need a foundation to handle all of the work for all of these projects. Those and these. You're going to need a company to handle all. That's a lot of intellectual. 3 independent albums is a lot of intellectual property to just let go and not care about, isn't it? Right? That's a lot of intellectual property to just be like, nah, man, we're just going to wing it. We're not going to, take care of the particulars. We're just going to do what we do. It's a lot of intellectual property, man. I mean, I'm looking at photos, artwork, lyrics, all types of stuff. That's intellectual property that we need to take care of. How are we going to do it, Casey? We're going to do it with this. It's a thing that I built called a 60-day record label course. It's a framework to establish your record label in a perfect 60-day sequence. Building your LLC and meshing your bank account together for base level anonymity, keeping the leakers and peekers out. And we're going to help you set up your records and publishing division to collect domestic and international publishing royalties without the middleman taking 15%, because that 15% is expensive to you. And then we're going to utilize the contract templates in here so you know what's coming to you by your third project, or by the fourth project, which is technically your first studio album, if you will, under a major record label if you decide to go that way. But the point is, there's so much that's covered in this course, it's not even funny. It would normally take a normal person 12 months to do all of the work that I'm going to reduce to 2 months for you, and that technically is no cap, because I've done it for so many other people where it's taken them 12 months to get all these accounts. I got you covered in 2 months, and I'm going to get you out of the door in that time for $275 or 5 easy payments of $55. You know what I'm saying? So before you start this, or after you finish the course, book a call with me, because I know you got questions and I want to answer them, and I want to help you get a strategy together so you can push yourself along the tracks forward in this music industry to hopefully break the public consciousness line. That's ultimately where I want you to be. So if this is your first time watching the channel, grab the free stuff below. Ultimately, we got to be here with it. Successfully executing these steps will lead to a transformative journey, propelling you from an unrecognized artist to a reputable name in the industry. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding gained will not only augment your musical prowess, but also your business acumen, setting a solid foundation for a prosperous career. So if you fail to win, on the flip side, failure to implement these steps can lead to a frustrating cycle of releasing music that fails to gain traction. Without a strategic plan and an understanding of the importance of a robust independent catalog, you risk falling into obscurity in the vast ocean of artists vying for recognition. It's not just failing to implement the steps. It's failing to realize that there is a time window on the first 3 projects. You can't take your foot off the gas. You can't stop. You start, you keep going. But when you press start, you better be pretty good at your talent by that point. Because if you start too early, then we move into the 4th and the 5th project before it takes time for you to develop your talent. So you want to be comfortable in what you already know how to do. You want to be confident too. You know what I mean? And then you're going to press go, and then we're going to work through a few years of dropping these projects and promoting them and doing shows and getting better with interviews and all types of stuff before we break the public consciousness line. This is where we want to be right here. All right, you all, so you can clearly see that it is not speed. Let's speed our way to success. It is about speed and strategic moves to get to that success point. And if you can understand that, then you can transform your career from where it is right now in the beginning, being at level 1, to actually getting to level 3 of your career, where you actually begin to blossom and people begin to know about you, and then your wallet size really begins to change. Okay, music money makers. So if you make music, you should always make money. Log on to musicmoneymakeover.com, jump into the 60-day record label, download the free stuff below, book a call, and I'll see you next time. Peace.